let's pass the baton to you, okay?
Are you using Baton Pass, the Pokemon move? Which passes along your stat changes to another Pokemon back
Oh my
in your
god, I
party?
am, because you're gonna talk about Pokemon X.
Whoa!
The transitions in this episode are insane.
They're great. We're professionals. Yeah, I've been playing Pokemon X. They recently announced Pokemon Legends A to Z, which is a name.
Is that how you say it, by the way? I keep hearing people say
Or sorry, Z to
multiple
A.
way to say it. Is it Z to A? It's not ZA?
I'm pretty sure it's Z to A. I know there's a hyphen.
Yeah.
Right, but do you
Um,
pronounce
I
like
think
you denote the
Amazon now
hyphen?
owns A to Z these days, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it's like
let's
you
just go
have
to the
to
Pokemon
denote
website.
the hyphen when you say like Z to A. It
Well,
is-
I can't find it. I'm gonna be calling it Z to A.
I didn't
just
watch
because-
Pokemon Present, so I didn't hear how, like the narrator how they.
Yeah,
said
they didn't say it out loud. I don't think.
Oh, even they didn't want to say it. They're
It
like,
wasn't
"We-"
until because the logo was kind of weird. Me and Wes were just calling it Pokemon Z in the Slack chat because the logo has an A, but it's not like there's not a. I don't know. It's not super clear. It's an A. It kind of looks like an arrow. And once you see that it's called Z to A, it's like okay, I can see what that is. But we just knew it
Pokemon
was Z. Because Pokemon X and Y were the original Kalos games for people that don't know. And they came out, I believe, in 2013. And I hadn't actually played through the story mode of those games since then. And I played through most Pokemon games more than once, just 'cause I'm a big Pokemon guy. And that was specifically an era where not only had I only played it once, but they never revisited Kalos. A lot of games, it's like, you know, you'll have Red and Blue and then Yellow, or Ruby and Sapphire and then Emerald. There was Black 2 and White 2. X and Y just came out. There was never a Z, which seemed of all the ones that deserved the third game, you were just ready for the third one to be Z. X, Y implies a 3.
or at least W, because it becomes
Sure.
Did they do anything for X and Y? Like
They never did.
Oh, weird.
We did. The other games in Gen 6 are Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. So those were like the remakes there. But then they just skipped ahead to Sun and Moon, which is Gen 7. And even those games got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which I think really added insult to Kalos.
People just not like X and Y, or is it like not popular in the Pokemon fandom? Or
So it's definitely one of the less popular games, but also the way Pokemon games work is you gotta wait for the people that played it as kids to get older enough to participate in the conversation. And then all of a sudden, like right now, I guarantee so many people are gonna be like, X and Y, best Pokemon games. I love them so much. They're so
you need the
underrated.
rose-colored glasses to kick in.
Yeah.
For me to blow your mind as an old man, Charles, I think X and Y is my favorite Pokemon game.
Your favorite?
I think maybe, and it's all a time and place thing, right?
Sure,
Like
yeah, absolutely.
I played a lot of Pokemon games. I reviewed Black and White 2, but like for some reason, X and Y just hit at the right time. I remember I reviewed X and Y and like really enjoying it as I was playing it. And I remember going to a GameStop to pick up a copy for my family because we were going to continue playing. And I remember a dad and 2 kids came out of the store and they were all discussing who their starter was going to be. And because X and Y brought back the original starters, like it was like this clear moment of like connection for a father to his kids. And like for whatever reason, like that has always stuck out to me and made me very charmed by X and Y because I feel like they found a good middle ground of like, you know, getting in the old folks who like loved Red and Blue and then bringing in like younger players. That game just clicked with me, and everyone in the office at Game Informer at the time was like weirdly playing it too. Like I remember trading to get my Gengar with Ben Hansen and stuff like that, which I never. Every other Pokemon after that was like just the time in my life, like no one else was really playing them. Like I reviewed Sun and Moon and stuff like that. But anyway, like I said, very much a time and place for me. Like it, but X and Y are for that reason. Like I really like those games a lot for sure.
Can I just, for the viewers, if you want to do a fun little exercise, replay or re-listen to everything Kyle just said about X and Y, but instead imagine he's talking about the 2005 Coldplay album X and Y.
Wow.
And it gets a lot funnier.
What were the big hits off that album? I don't know. I'll pull.
Everyone in the office was playing it.
Yeah, listening to the low and all the good stuff.
That's good. That's good.
Well, Kyle, as a disclaimer, I love Pokemon. I love all Pokemon games. It exists in a spot in my heart that is immune to criticism. So I'm going to engage with it critically because that's my job. But I want to know I inflict no judgment upon you for having that opinion. X and Y are probably my least favorite Pokemon.
How could you do this to me on a podcast? No,
of all the people I'm also giving this disclaimer to, I feel like you would take it the least personally.
Probably.
It's like my least favorites are. It's probably this and probably Scarlet and Violet, just because of the like. I don't know. I rank a lot in terms of replayability and like how much I'm gonna go back to it.
And if it works, that's important.
It's important if I can walk and my legs have the right number of frames. No, but the reason I don't like it as much, it's paced kind of weird. There's like kind of notoriously like 6 or 7 hours between Gym 1 and 2, which is very weird. I think part of the reason they do it is because like the big ticket ability in this game is Mega Evolution, which you can only do once you're already fully evolved. So in order for them to introduce that at a proper point, you have to have fully evolved Pokemon, which is something that usually would happen like in the mid to late game, and they want to happen in like early to mid game.
But that's another one of those instances of like recalling the original games well,
Yes.
because you have Mega Evolutions for those beloved Pokemon like Blastoise and stuff like that, which is totally they're taking advantage of your nostalgia in a big way, and it was effective for me.
I think that's also maybe why it feels weird. It's also a game they give you so many Pokemon. You get your first starter, and then you get a second starter, and then they give you a Lucario. And if you're just going along with the story, you just kind of have all these Pokemon that they've given you. Anyways, the whole reason I wanted to bring it up is because Pokemon Legends Z to A also takes place in the Kalos region. And I'm writing up a piece. It might be up by the time this episode goes up. I don't know. But I think Kalos has really interesting lore because there's a very important backstory you get where apparently there was a war 3,000 years ago.
That's the other reason I like X and Y.
The Poke War?
The Great Pokemon War.
There's like a freaking giant. There is a giant in that game who's just like around, and they don't really think too hard about why there's a giant.
Is it a Pokemon?
No, it's a human man who's a giant.
Like an Attack on Titan?
Are these
basically? And he's like hundreds of years old.
He's not he's not that big. He's like twice as big as a normal person.
That's pretty. Look,
Charles, okay, I'm thinking like Godzilla size.
It's not like Attack on Titan, but it is big. He's very big. Yeah.
So
it's like if I was in a Pokemon game.
I mean, to Charles, that's like a normal heighted person, but it's
like
for the average heighted person. No, that's I had forgotten about that in this discussion. For the video version, Alex is showing off his Mega Evolution.
Are these the Mega Evolutions?
Alex, you got me.
I think so. Yeah, that's definitely Mega Blastoise. I think that might be.
Oh, I thought you had a card for the giant man. That's what I thought you were going to show. I was like, oh.
I've got a lot of Mega Evolution cards, and I've never played X and Y, so I'm wondering if these are like.
These are cool
from the game.
Yeah.
But
I like Mega Evolution also as like a design and game mechanic. Like I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that story stuff till you brought it up, Charles. But that's another reason that X and Y clicks with me is because I'm like, Pokemon Wars. There's a giant man here who's hundreds of years old. Like, what is happening?
I want to do like a poll with like, what's cooler / dumber, the Poke War or the Keyblade War?
Now, do they actually depict it like on screen, or is it just like flavor text?
It's 3,000 years ago. There was a Pokemon War. Spoilers for Pokemon X and Y.
Damn it!
3,000 years ago, there was a big war of Pokemon.
Okay.
A king at the time had a favorite Pokemon that that died in the war.
Oh no!
This king is really upset, so he creates an ultimate powerful device to bring this Pokemon back to life. And in doing so, he's also so angry, he decides to use it as a weapon of mass destruction.
Those are two wildly different functions of this device. Like it can resurrect people, and also it's a bomb or something.
I think the first ability is like Xerneas, which is the Pokemon X, and then the other one, the destruction, is like Pokemon Y. That's Yveltal, like that's their abilities. That's Xerneas is the deer.
Okay.
Is the life bringer.
I like Xerneas.
When he brings Pokemon back, Pokemon then sees, oh, you've done this horrible act. I don't want to be with you anymore. Pokemon leaves. And then I guess the implication is that in doing this like life-giving ability, he has also become immortal. So he's a character in the game. He's really tall for some reason, and he's lived for 3,000 years.
Yeah.
So Kyle, for the record,
good
that
stuff
rocks. The dressing
that does sound right up my alley for like stupid epic stories, Ellie.
I mean, it's better than like, gosh, I hope we can be friends, and then at the end of the game, turns out you guys are friends. Like that's
100%. This is the most interesting thing I've heard about Pokemon in a while. Of like, okay.
So the reason I don't like the game though is because that's like one cutscene to describe why the actual bad guy of the game was able to get his hands on this device. That's not the plot of the game. The plot of the game is that Lysander, who's like a billionaire tech guy, he walks around saying really cryptic stuff like, you need the world to be happy and perfect, but there's not enough stuff to go around.
AI
and then one
is an efficient content creation tool that will allow us to limit.
And then at a late point in the game, he calls everyone on their holocasters, which is like the phone, and he says, hey guys, I'm gonna kill everyone and all Pokemon except for Team Flare, because the more I think about it, we can't all be happy.
Call me back.
Some of us are happy, but we just can't all be happy. So if I kill everyone except for like 50 people, the 50 people will be happy and everyone else will be dead, which is better. And it's just
Thanos,
like,
more or less.
Yeah, except
or Halo,
at least
right?
Thanos has like clear motivation in terms of like, we see why he has this belief, where it's like, if you were going through X and Y and there was like a bunch of like starving homeless Pokemon, and it's like, wow, the world is pretty rough, I wish we could make things better. I guess a lot of Pokemon don't have homes or wild. If that was a solution that needed to be made, his decision would make more sense. But instead, he just is pretty much out of nowhere like, yeah, I'm thinking long and hard. I think it's better if we just killed everyone. And then you stop him and he's like, dang, I guess I can't kill everyone. And that's just, I don't know. That's always frustrated me.
Yeah,
we are friends.
He is a billionaire executive, famously short-sighted.
Famously short-sighted. So... Anyways, I have a lot of gripes with it, but I really like the concept of a Pokemon war, and I remembered liking the lore. So I went back to Pokemon X, that when Pokemon Legends Z to A, if that is what it's called. Oh, I should mention, Marcus, this king's name is AZ.
Oh, really?
Like the rapper? Like the 90s rapper AZ?
I don't know.
Is it initials for something? Like they just call him King AZ?
Yeah, wait. Is there a different rapper other than Jay-Z named AZ?
Yeah, I used to rap with Nas a lot. If you ever listen to Illmatic, if you listen to Life's a B, he has a very good verse in that. But yeah, he's a New York rapper, AZ.
Okay, that's confusing to me. But that's fine. That's not my problem. Yes, AZ is his name. So if I go on Z to A, people like, does it have something to do with that? I would really like if this is taking place in the past again. It's unclear like when the era is. I would love to see like, it doesn't have to be the war itself, but like the ramifications of the war. I think to Kyle's point, a lot of Pokemon narratives are like very like surface level, or like, I don't know. I would just like to see it go in a different direction like this. And I thought Legends Arceus did a good job of being like, we're going to take kind of a Pokemon story and take it in a direction that you like wouldn't have thought about. And I think that game has many faults, but it was so nice to play because I was like, it's so much different. I'm so glad they did an iteration. So I hope Legends Z to A, whatever it looks like, can take these like founding concepts and turn it into something cool.
How much Power World do you think we'll see in Z to A?
Well, Pokemon, Nintendo, and I know Pokemon's not a Nintendo thing, right? Like they just distribute the game. But they've famously been really good about acknowledging the trends of the industry and incorporating them into their games. That is very much sarcasm. I don't think we're going to see any Power World.
Yeah, no, we call them. That's why we call them Game with the Times Freak. That's their studio.
I forgot we called them that.
The full name. That's what it was. That's what the magazine was called. Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay,
but
so
Charles, I actually. Oh, please go ahead, Marcus. Please.
I was gonna say like if I say this with every 3D Pokemon game and I lie to myself every time. If I play Z to A because I'm like, I think this is finally going to be where I get back into Pokemon, do I need to play X and Y to understand it, or do you think it just...
I doubt it. mainly because X and Y is like technically unobtainable right now. Like it's a 3DS game, so unless you got like a physical version of, like, it's not being sold on an eShop anywhere because
You
it's
got to
gonna be
go to
delisted
GameStop
or
or eBay or something. And...
Yeah. And also like the other Legend game took place in the past. So if it does take place in the past, there will probably be like nods towards stuff, but probably not. It's also the whole game is set inside Limnio City, was what the tweet is said, which is pretty interesting. Like it's gonna be a metropolitan Pokemon game.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I did remember as we were talking about this though, one of the other reasons that X and Y really clicked with me was because it was the reveal of what is my favorite Pokemon to this day, Klefki. Klefki appeared.
I actually know Klefki.
Famously hated Pokemon.
Blew my mind. Like, you have to remember, I was playing this game early. They had not shared much, like maybe 5 or 6 new Pokemon. And like, I found a Klefki, and I remember like going to anyone who would care in the office and being like, "Look at this. This is where we are with
your
Pokemon."
3DS in their face.
If you're not familiar, Klefki is a set of keys. He is a keychain with keys on him. He is like the most ridiculous Pokemon. And I had the privilege of finding him without zero knowledge that something like this could exist, which definitely colored my sort of fandom of him. But I was like, I can't believe we have a garbage can and a set of keys. That is where we're getting at with Pokemon. I love it.
God. Is that like, Alex and Charles, you can answer this. Like, is Klefki pretty tame now compared to the generations that have come after? Like, or is it still ridiculous even by?
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like they have an out.
I mean, they definitely are like more ridiculous more often.
Oh, like we got. If you've seen the video for. Oh, yeah. Kyle has a literal Klefki.
He's out of focus. He's tiny, but yeah.
There we go. He caught one.
The thing is, any like random mundane object that then they put eyeballs on like becomes Pokemon. I don't know if there's a more mundane item than a set of keys that has become turned into a Pokemon.
Just wait for them to like take like a water cup.
Stapler. Yeah, or something.
Coasty.
To be clear, they could do it. I just don't think there is a Pokemon that I would classify
in
that
the
as
game.
Currently.
Right.
They just straight up steal Clippy from Microsoft.
I think. It's funny you said Stapler and Clippy, Marcus. I think we did a Game & Farcer Pokemon that was like things around the office, and it was like I think we had like a Xander Cannon, the comic book artist, drew like a Stapler Pokemon for us. I'm saying so I can find that.
There you go. Stapler.
Stapler.
It evolves into a hole puncher.
Ooh, Stapler.
Yeah.
Stapler.
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 Oh, I see it.
Have you guys ever heard Guzzlord's scream?
No,
Pokemon?
but can I guess?
Yeah.
Guzz. Guzz.
I'm gonna have to look up like what is.
I'm gonna guzzle this water. You tell me if I'm close. Are you ready?
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna do my impression of it.
Is Guzzlord just is a Stanley Cup with eyeballs?
He's like a pumpkin crab horror monster kind of thing.
Oh my! Yeah, I just Googled. Oh my God, what is this?
This is my impression of the Guzzlord scream. You guys ready? The cry. Ah! Like that. One more time. Ah!
Can someone clip that scream and take that scene from Paranormal Activity where you hear the roar from downstairs and replace it with Charles's impression of a Guzzlord?
It's extra funny because the way this podcast is edited, it's like Charles. You probably heard Charles just fine, but us like listening in via Discord, the scream got cut off like halfway through.
Oh, that's really good.
Actually, made it much funnier. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, that's Pokemon.
That's a Pokemon.
Marcus,
I'm gonna have to read up some lore on this Pokemon war. I'm got my interest now.
And to be honest, Marcus, that was it. there's not
caught up.
More lore.
You did it.
Yeah, you're caught up.
Bye.